Welcome to AHAtv. My name is Melissa Mahtani and we are just wrapping up day 2. And to join me to talk about what a day it's been, I have 3 fabulous guests, Dr. Amit Khera, Joanna Chikwe and Juan Granada. So thank you for joining me. I'm interested to hear from each of you what has been your biggest highlight of the day. Amit, let me start with you.
Sure. Boy, there's so many and I don't want to steal anyone else's thunder, so I'll just start where there's so many. The presidential address was certainly the highlight, but I won't touch on that because I'm going to focus on the last session, the lipid late breaker. I'm a prevention person, and what amazing stuff. You know, we had the first sort of human proof of concept of gene editing in the liver, a one and done for treatment of lipids lifelong. That is just mind blowing in terms of just the opportunities there for patients. We also had a therapeutic that you give once every 48 weeks, and it lowered LPA, which is being measured right behind you, by 94% for 337 days. So it essentially obliterates it for a year with one dose, which is mind-blowing again. And then a few other therapeutics related to other lipid lowering for durations and in patients with HIV. But you know, I think we're just seeing such an explosion of lipids that are going to be, and the way we're doing this, we're going to change the way we practice medicine. And so that's kind of some of the excitement coming out of the meeting.
So it really has been. There has been so much mind-blowing science here, which is really going to revolutionize the way that, you know, doctors practice day in, day out. So it's very exciting. What about you, Joe? What was your highlight?
So definitely the presidential session, which was really inspiring and just covered everything, starting with a president who is a phenomenal cardiologist and a basic scientist that managed to explain super high-level stem cell research in a way that was engaging and inspiring. And for those of people that were in the hall, so surprising that I probably saw about 1,000 phones pulled out to capture the last moments of his talk, which really says a lot. And the arc of the whole session was wonderful because not only did you have remarkable awardees, which really the heart of this organization, the science that drives discovery. But you also had in the room 140 AHA scholars that are all members of historically black colleges and universities. These include high school students, college students, first year medical students, and the energy from them as the sort of future of our specialty was just tremendous. So really that was the most compelling, inspiring and rewarding hour or two that I've spent recently.
How wonderful. And what about you, Juan?
So in continuation to what you just said, it's difficult not to really say the presidential session was special. But what I would say that is really amazing to me is we've been on the therapeutic side, getting at the end of the spectrum. Amit, you've been on the right side, which is prevention.
Yeah. But
we're seeing now a revolution in which is, I would actually call it therapeutic prevention, which is not only prevention in terms of, oh, don't eat this, don't do this, exercise. Is now being able to attack the disease by curing the primary disorder. And that type of prevention in the way that I see it is revolutionary. Yeah. What we saw today in the presidential address was amazing from somebody that has been on the innovation side of things, on the device creation side of things, just to see that we're going to be able to prevent disease by actively, manipulating and treating the core of the disease process is just something unbelievable. And I really think that we are at the beginning of a new era.
Wow, that's phenomenal. I mean, it's incredible to hear from you how inspired you all were and then how that's going to translate into your daily life. You know, one thing that I've heard from other people, which I haven't heard from you mention, so I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but was I've heard from people about the 2 astronauts that were in space. Yeah. Were you in the room for that?
Well, I think the astronauts from space was the shock, surprise, fantastic, wow moment. But for me, actually the more compelling moment was hearing a little bit about Joe's story, because as an immigrant with his parents at the age of 9 from Taiwan to South America, bouncing around between Bolivia and other countries, and then finally landing in Los Angeles, but not to some sort of Gucci school, but essentially to a fruit farm. And to go from that background to quite what he's achieved today was genuinely inspiring.
Agreed.
And so just tell me a little bit about, like, so in 2 weeks, you're, going about your daily lives as you normally do. Do you have moments where you stop and think back to this conference and something that was said, or some research that that might be coming up? I mean, really just tell me, like, what is the impact of this conference down the line?
Okay. Would start by saying, in general, for me, the most amazing things that happen at these meetings is not really what you see in a talk, but what happens with the interaction with your peers, what you learn from different perspectives. But the most important thing is what you want to do when you go back to work and you're inspired by all the things that actually you see. I mean, for example, as I said before, my life has been around devices, but my heart always been on basic science and translational research. And one of the first things that I actually thought after the talk is, boy, we really have to go hard into, basic science, genetics, and everything that has to do with the basics of disease, because something big is coming. And I really think that's the beauty of this type of meetings, that actually get you inspired. Doesn't matter the age of the stage of the career you're in, because at different levels, everybody makes an impact and everybody can really make a decision about what to do next.
So again, exactly that kind of balance between the 7:30 this morning, I'm getting ready to walk over here, and on CNN, the news is the paper that was presented yesterday. That's the impact of this. And that's something that is treating such a common cause of morbidity and mortality. That's truly impactful. And at the other end of it, exactly as Juan and Amit's kind of alluded to, it's that wonderful interaction between people from countries and disciplines and backgrounds that I would never otherwise meet in the day-to-day, that just make you think differently about what you do. And hopefully that translates into a way that changes how you teach, how you think, and how you treat your patients.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll just amplify that. I mean, I'm just thinking about what came out here. I know there's 4 New England Journal articles, 4 JAMA articles. So we have these huge scientific things that will take weeks for us to digest. I mean, they come out so fast, and to sort of, what does this mean? Because these are groundbreaking studies. So there's that part of it, no question. But to my colleague's point, I think, when I was younger here, and I was trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, I still try to figure that sometimes. But, just walking around and seeing science, it was very impactful for me. I came back every time just so motivated from what I learned and saw what other people were doing and ideas. And that hasn't changed, but it's different. I think it's more as we get older, more senior interactions just from colleagues, and just thinking I was even talking to Juan just a few minutes ago about sort of the future of meetings and everything. And just, you just have such broader thought about the world by talking to incredible people like this about science and medicine and education. And so you're changed every time you leave a meeting like this.
Absolutely, and it's so important because we are here in America, and obviously there's a lot of groundbreaking science that's being presented, but you do need to think, like, what is the ripple effect? How is that going to travel? How is it going to be applied all over the world, in different income countries? So there's a lot. Was there anything else that stood out to you today that any of you want to mention?
Well, just a common message that I'm hearing, and this is obviously a cardiology strong, primary prevention, basic science skewed meeting, and to hear a interventionalist with a strong interest in structural heart and a surgeon saying this is absolutely worth taking a day out of your year to go and just expand your mind. That's a theme that I've heard across the board. I've literally just walked out of a session that the panel included people from and deep experts. When I say people, I mean profound experts from Australia, New Zealand, Japan, India, Europe, US, talking about problems that we have in common with sort of patient issues and care, and really learning a ton just from the differences. So it's a kind of an experience that it's really difficult to get anywhere else.
Yeah.
So there were so many sessions today. Was there anything that you didn't get to go to that you wanted to go to?
All I can say is I loved moderating a structural heart session with Juan, but I was sitting there thinking I am missing a Nobel laureate lecture on brain science.
Exactly.
So I went into the tail end of that, so I missed part of it. That I missed the most important part, but the lines of questions,
yes,
and just the ability. I think that what we were trying to do with that session was hear an amazing speaker, but equally or most important, and this came from the people developing, was allow the junior folks to ask questions about career and science with a Nobel Prize winner. I mean, that's invaluable. And he was so gracious in the way that he interacted. So I missed the important parts too. But to your point, I think what an amazing session.
But there is one thing, it's also an opportunity, right? Because it's interesting when we were talking before the interview, a young physician came to us, said, listen, I was not able to see what I wanted to see because you guys have a lot of offerings. And your answer was spot on. He said, well, that's actually good. That means you have a lot of opportunities to learn. And I really think this is actually the type of environment that you want, because we have people with multiple interests, different interests, and that actually creates the possibility to create these online, platforms to actually expand access to education, which is extremely important. So if you miss it today, you can actually just go online and watch it, right?
Yep.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
In some of the
Absolutely,
sessions
and
that
I will
actually
say that
exist.
I've interviewed a lot of people today who are creating podcasts, who are writing about
Exactly.
these things, who are publishing journals. So there are multiple opportunities for you to catch up on things that you haven't read, things you may think you're not interested in, but actually you listen to and you're like, wow. So, I mean, that's actually great.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, it's been a wonderful day. I want to thank you all for your time. I know you have lots of on-demand content that you're going to go and catch up on now, so I'm going to let you go. But thank you for joining me. Thank you. It's been a fabulous day. I look forward to tomorrow.